Hello everyone and welcome to the November 22 mid-month edition of the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm Becca and joining me today is Ben.
Hello everyone.
And Claire.
Hi Becca.
How are you? Still jet lagged?
Maybe.
Or is that just your internet?
I'm going to blame the internet this time. I don't know. I'm sort of jet lagged. I'm sort of going through periods of feeling okay, and then feeling a bit slow. So then I have some coffee, and then I'm okay again. It's fine.
And you're in that process for just over and over again, isn't it?
I think it's like
days.
What do they say? It's an hour per day. A day per hour time difference, isn't it?
Yeah,
now, I'm confused already because obviously we were 4 hours behind when we were there and the American clocks changed.
And now it's 5.
Whilst we were in the air. So is that 4 days or 5 days? I don't know.
Or is that 6? I don't...
Yeah,
who knows?
6.
I'm hoping
4.5.
Yeah,
by next weekend,
in the
you'll be
next
fine.
couple of days I'll be okay. Just ready for me to do it again.
Hey.
Oh.
So yeah, but we've been back very, a couple of days, so still feels very fresh.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of new experiences.
Yeah, do you know what? It was great because this was a cancelled trip from July 2020. So, we're the last time we were all there as a family was in August 2019. So I know for a lot of people who've been around the Disney World space for the last couple of years, it probably doesn't feel like there's a huge amount of new stuff. But for us, there was I know I went back in May for a few days, but there was stuff that I didn't get to do then that I have done now. And, I was a week from missing Guardians when I was there and stuff. So I think as a family, particularly Morgan and Mills, there were so many new things that they haven't done. And that was something that Morg said to me was like, it's so nice to be here and there be different experiences because, it doesn't get stagnant, but there is some things that you learn, what's going to happen. It's the same attraction. And I think some of the newer attractions, obviously there's that element of a different ride experience each time. Some of the old attractions, not so much. But so I think that we actually had some really nice new experiences, and it was good to watch them trying some stuff that I'd already done. So,
well, in August 2019, so Star Wars would have only just opened. Galaxy's Edge.
The Resistance wouldn't have been open.
Right. So when did Galaxy's Edge open? Was it August 19th?
August
29th of August 2019.
Right. So we were there the day it opened, but we went to Food and Wine instead because it was also the first day of Food and Wine. So they hadn't, Millie, Morgan or Dad, none of them had been into Galaxy's Edge at all. We'd seen, because we'd been to the, not the Right to Stop, what's it now called? The
Baseline Tap House.
We'd been to Baseline Tap House, and they were also doing cast member previews when we were there because they had like the fake bushes in front of the entrance. And we saw people with maybe it was like DVC or AP previews, people going in, but we weren't allowed behind the bushes. So and then we didn't go over there I think we came home maybe like the 31st, so we didn't go over there before we left. So none of us had done like Galaxy's Edge as a whole. When I was there in May, I had only literally gone through the gateway, that walkthrough by Muppets.
Yeah,
and
the tunnel that takes you through to...
Right, and I'd gone straight into the queue for Rise, so I actually hadn't been into the Black Spire Outpost at all. So that was all new for me as well, which was quite cool to do that with the kids.
And I'm guessing you got a chance to do Rise.
Yes, they did. We did manage to do Rise twice while we were there. The first time was because obviously I'd done it and I knew what was coming. But the queue wasn't so bad. We ended up behind or in front of another British family in the queue who were watching the rugby on a small iPhone in the queue, which was awesome. So the queue was only...
Oh, you might as well.
Yeah, so the line was about... I guess we stood in line about 50 minutes maybe at the most.
Nice.
But most of that, we were watching Scotland-Australia game. So it was great. We were having a conversation about rugby with the person behind us who was like holding their iPhone out here so we could all watch it at the same time. The queue went really quick, and just watching Morgan in particular, like Mills loves Star Wars, but she hasn't seen episode 7, 8, 9. She's seen all the other 6, whereas Morgan's a massive Star Wars nerd. And sorry, Morgan, I know it's one of those things. So watching him, seeing like the Rey hologram, and then, you know, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anyone. When the doors open, you go outside. It was like, what, you know, and then the whole thing where you're on the transport and then the doors open, you're in somewhere different, and then like the stormtrooper section, and then and I suddenly realised, like, I had this moment the night before when I was thinking about us riding Rise, how brilliantly in character the cast members are when you get onto the Galactic Star Destroyer. Have I got the right words? I'm not a Star Wars person. Do I get the right? Is that?
I don't actually know what that ship's called. I've just been calling it Kylo Ren's ship.
Yeah, when you're on there and how brilliantly in character the cast members are, I sort of went, oh my goodness, Millie's going to freak out, because they're quite firm.
They're as sort of in character as like Haunted Mansion and Tower of Terror.
Exactly.
So they are exactly what you think from the film, and the sort of that sort of you're their prisoner.
Yes.
So
I was suddenly like thinking, oh my goodness, Millie is totally going to freak out about this. If she's told, you know, stand in a single line, don't turn around, take your bag off, all of this stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to. But she was fine, actually. They were more worried about Morgan, who'd been to build a lightsaber at Savi's earlier in the day. So it was great. And then like and I kept going, this isn't the ride. This isn't the attraction. This is all still pre-show. And they were like, shut up, no way. I was like, it's all still pre-show. This is not the attraction.
I think Disney have got that right perfect.
Did.
From not knowing when the ride begins.
If only they could sort out the tech issues.
We didn't have any problems at all both times.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
But you're right. I think the length of the experience is like 23 minutes, I think, from when you first go into that holding room with BB-8 and Rey. And, you know, that's a healthy time. And you don't realise how many people are going through that attraction at a time. And I had a conversation with nice guy Zach Brown about how they manage that transporter section. And it's like a rotary with like 4 or 5 different of those vehicles on them, and it just rotates around, which is it's really clever. There must be YouTube videos about how it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, how? And Zach was explaining how they do it. It's really, really clever. So that was, and when we came off the attraction at the end, there was like silence from the other 3 people. I was like, did you have a good time?
I'm just stunned.
Like, I can't speak. And Millie was like, that was so cool. You know. Morgan he needed about an hour of downtime to process it all.
I remember the first time we did it, and it was like, okay, we were doing a live with Jason about half an hour, an hour later, and it was like only until to that point we sat down and gone, we've just done Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
It's
just like that processing of what on earth have I just been through. I think the other thing that, you know, just getting straight into this, the other thing that Millie and Morg both adored was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Now, for me, when I did that back in May, I got off the attraction, went, I need to go straight back on. I need to do it straight away. And they both went, yep, need to go back on. Can we do it straight away again? They just wanted to get back on it immediately. Morgan particularly, to look at all the stuff that he's missed.
There's so much rewritability in that as well.
I know,
because you're always in a different position, and there's so many hidden bits that are just sort of Easter eggs of things that you think actually that's from this, or that's like 1928. It's just so many bits
this is
that you don't
and
notice.
The kids they totally got into the conga section. I was like, you gotta dance in the car. It was great, and everyone else was like, what are they doing? The second time we rode it, everyone in the room did it, and it was brilliant. It was so much fun. So, that was amazing. There was still loads of stuff we didn't do, but I think some of the new stuff, Smuggler's Run, I think is Millie's new favourite attraction.
Oh, okay.
She got to be
pilot?
Chewie. Yeah, she got to be Chewie. She was on the right. We did it twice, 3 times, can't remember. But certainly 2 times she was pilot. So she did up and down and she did left and right. Definitely more successful at left and right than she was at up and down. I think we hit every single thing. I was like, you're meant to avoid stuff, not deliberately hit it, you know.
Bonus points for how much you can hit.
No. But the animatronics. What's his name?
Hondu
Anaka. Morgan was like, this is the most incredible animatronic. And it is very cool. And just that reveal when you come around the corner and you see the Millennium Falcon sitting there in Galaxy's Edge, it's just incredible. And when we first went there, Ray and Chewie were out doing some stuff with the kids and stuff. So it was very cool. Like you walk in and they're there, and there's the Millennium Falcon and stuff. And
it feels now things have started to move back towards a little bit more of normality, because I know Kylo Ren's show that was in Galaxy's Edge has only just started up this week.
Okay, right.
So it's just something. I think I only started on Saturday, so
okay,
it's something that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Like for me, Hollywood Studios was my 4th favourite park.
Yeah,
Walt Disney World. It was the one that I would forfeit if I needed to skip somewhere. You know, when I was there in May, I only did like a couple of hours there. We spent at least a day and a half, full days. We did the most number of steps in any park when we were in Hollywood Studios. And we still didn't even walk down Sunset Boulevard. We did Indiana Jones for the first time in like 12 years.
Oh wow! What was it like?
Millie had never seen it, and it was just like, come on, we're gonna go have a sit down and see the show. She thought it was amazing. Not that I'm suggesting we'll go back every time, but it was cool to see. And actually, from where we were sat, we were sort of in the middle, about 8 rows back, so we could see the tech guys like pressing the buttons for the pyro to work and stuff like that. So that Morgan found that quite interesting. It's still very cheesy, and obviously they've changed the storyline slightly. They don't have the bloke in the audience coming out because someone got injured, but it was fun to watch. And Millie was like, this is so cool, when they were like blowing stuff up and the plane comes round and everything. It still stands up, I think, particularly for first time visitors. I think it would still stand up. It's a good 20-minute show.
Yeah, and it's a good location as well. You're not going to miss it.
No, not at all.
No.
We did
unless you're deliberately trying to avoid it.
We did One Man's Dream, and it was One Man's Dream. It wasn't some other cartoon. We did everything. We did Slinky. We did Alien Swirling Saucers.
Which is still a lot of fun.
It's
we lightning laned it, and to be honest with you, it was still quite a long queue. Just that. I think we still waited like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that again.
Lane, that's no.
Long.
Yeah.
I'd rather go back on Toy Story Mania.
Morgan beat me on Toy Story Mania, which I wasn't happy about. And he beat me on Buzz. I don't know what's going on.
Oh no. You need to practice.
It's a bad week.
I know, I've been away too much. I need to practice.
Yeah. So you talked of Genie. How did you use it quite a lot? Because I know in May we were sort of a bit... We were sort of trying to work out, as it's changed, developed over the year that we've had Genie.
So I bought Genie for us on Hollywood Studios Day. We didn't use it in Animal Kingdom. Did it for the first day that we went to Hollywood Studios, and that was absolutely worth it because we got so many attractions in. Yeah. So we had we did Toy Story Mania, we did Alien Swirling Saucers, we did Smuggler's Run, we did we just stood in line for rides. We waited till later in the day and just sucked up the queue, and it wasn't so bad. We did Star Wars. What's it called? My brain's gone. I'm jet lagged. Star Tours, yes. We lightning laned Indiana Jones just because we could. Mickey and Minnie's we did twice. One lightning lane, one standby. So yeah, we got our money's worth, I think.
That's a lot more than I thought that you'd have got from regular Fast or Fast Plus.
And I
think Hollywood Studios is one of the better parks to Genie Plus.
And it was a Saturday, and it was $22 each.
Okay. Do you know what?
So yeah, that was $88 added that day. Now, we did look at individual lightning lanes for Rise of the Resistance as well, and that was an additional $18 each, which I said, that's stupid. You don't need to pay $150 just to enjoy your day at the park.
No.
So we just sucked up the queue for Rise. But yeah, that was worth it. We also used it the day we went to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And we got quite a lot done there. Maybe not quite so much. We were in the queue for Big Thunder and it went down, unfortunately. Dan and Millie did Splash. Morgan and I went and did the Speedway. Haven't done that for years. So I'll let him drive. And then did it again a few days later with Millie driving, which was even worse.
So you're going to teach Millie to drive in a few years then?
No, I am not. I've said to Morgan he can teach her. So she'd never been on that attraction, so that was quite cool. Morgan and I did Space Mountain, which broke as we were in the queue, but then we waited and managed to get on. That was interesting watching them evacuate people from Space Mountain. Like, they turned on all the lights and then some people got out of their vehicle. They were the two shuttles that were just about to go down into the tunnel. So they stopped them. But of course, the ground level is quite a long way below the shuttle. That is like up on a riser at that point. Because obviously it hangs over the edge of the track. So when they got out, they literally had to like jump down a 6-foot jump. There was no steps or anything. So they were climbing out the shuttle. And then the cast members, they had to unlock a gate that we were stood right next to. And the lights all went on and off they went down the tunnels. It was like, and they came back with some people who were on a shuttle, presumably within that first lift hill, who didn't look very happy. But yeah, they literally, all the cast members just appeared from nowhere and off they went down into the tunnels to evacuate people from the attraction.
I always thought it must be a really difficult ride to be evacuated from.
Absolutely. Having
just
seen
how
the lights
organised. Because I don't think there are many stairs sections, are there?
I don't. I mean, presumably there are the slow bits, the straight flat bits.
Yeah.
Which allow for people to be evacuated from. Yeah. You know, the ride continued with momentum until it reaches that point, which is a stop point. The organisation of the cast members over is incredible. It's just like suddenly, you know, as soon as they went, right, evac, there was just person after person after person. They knew exactly what to do. Someone had just appeared, just started his shift, and they were like, go! And okay. But it was only one side of the track. It was only the alpha side that had broken. The omega side was still running. So what they did was like the 30-odd people who'd stayed in the queue we went then and rode the omega, and then they shut it for the rest of the day, which didn't make me feel all that safe.
No.
Like, no, you guys carry on, and then we'll close it.
But I did like what was put outside when it was closed for a full day, I think, during your trip, and it was a cornhole toss outside.
I know, it was brilliant.
It was just like, really?
I have to say,
do you want Space Mountain or cornhole toss?
I have to say that having ridden Guardians, spoiler alert, oh my goodness, Space Mountain is rickety. It really throws you about. It's like Morgan and I were on it. We're like, all you could hear was us groaning as we were ouch. Bang from side to side, and it's just like, this is so much the opposite Guardians. So juddery, and it's like,
do you know what
and it's probably the reason I don't do it very often is because
honestly, if you
so
don't
painful.
need it off your cuff beforehand, you do after. It's ridiculous, and I think it's just clunky, and I don't know whether it's due a refurb or not, but it just feels really. I mean, there's something nostalgic about the fact that it throws you about a bit and it's clunky and you end up with backache and neckache and you're like not quite sure whether you're going to survive the journey or not. But it's certainly an experience.
Disney will focus on the smoother attractions. You've got Guardians and you've got Tron opening next year.
Yeah.
I suppose it is a rocket ship and it's meant to be a bit juddery.
I don't think a rocket ship is that juddery, to be honest with you, Becca.
There's more G-forces than banging each side.
I wonder when Tron opens whether they'll close it down for a refurb. I think it probably could do with it.
I think in a couple of years. I think as soon as they get to Tiana's Bio Adventure.
Once Tiana's open.
But
Yeah, and Millie did quite a few bigger rides. Yeah, she's nearly 10, and previously has not want. Big Thunder Mountain was her limit. This time she did Splash Mountain and loved it, and I was really pleased she did that before it closes for the refurb. She did Flight of Passage. She wasn't overly keen on that. She found it a bit intense. I think she found it a bit.
Was that one of her first rides of the trip as well?
It was the first ride of the trip. We were just like, let's go.
Just go.
Number one. Yeah. Maybe that was my issue. But we did the standby queue. And she hasn't seen Avatar, so she didn't really know the story either. But she found the whole experience a bit much.
There's a lot going on all at once.
There is.
Yeah.
And it's not the simplest restraint either.
Yeah. Lots of swooping and dropping. She was fine on like the bike the bike ride vehicle. I think it was like the swooping, the dropping, the visuals where you go forwards over big cliffs and things. She wasn't keen, but she loved the bit with like the pink trees and all the bioluminescent stuff. She loved that bit, but for some of it, it was just a bit too intense for her. She did Everest. I was such a good mum, so we went on Everest. And she said to me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was scared. Okay. And I think the backward helix was probably, I told her it was going to go back. I told her it was going to go backwards. Didn't make the same mistake twice when I didn't tell Morgan. And she screamed all the way until like halfway through that backward helix. And then there was just silence. And I was like, I'm still alive. And she was just like stunned into silence for the rest of the attraction. I was like, oh, I'm such a bad parent. And she refused to do it again, refused. And then the last day we were in Animal Kingdom, which was the day before we came home, we were literally walking out and she went, can we go and do Everest again? I was like, no, it's too late now. So maybe next year she'll be keen to do it again. Yeah.
You don't know how they're going to react until they actually do it.
She did Thunder Mountain a couple of times. She didn't do Space. She didn't want to do Space Mountain, which is fine. We did Guardians 4 times.
Yay.
And she loves Guardians so much.
It's such a different sort of attraction compared to other roller coasters because it feels so smooth.
It's just silky smooth as you blend. You sort of throw yourself around those corners and it's brilliant. And some of it is obviously the ride vehicle and how it rotates and you don't feel the pressure of the corners. So the first time we rode, we got rows 1 and 2, which was fine. Yep. And then we were told how to do it properly because
is it row 9?
9 and 10.
Yeah.
We then knew, even Millie knew, asked to wait for the back. Top tip, make sure you wait for the back row. Because it is a very, very different experience at the back and infinitely better. So, yeah, it was good.
And next time, so we've not done the back yet.
We've done row 9, not row 10. Yep.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
We've done the back. Row 9, row 10, it's all
the same.
Apparently we have done the back, eh?
And it makes such a difference to the ride experience.
And so
in the same way that Thunder Mountain, you don't get like that slow drop down the lift hill. You get the back. So definitely get the bit of the tail whip.
What did you think of the pre-show and the queue?
So like that first queue area, we didn't get a chance to really spend time in it because every time we went in, there wasn't any queue. So that central bit with the image, the visual on the roof, that was incredible. I'd like to have stayed and just watched that for a while, but there wasn't the opportunity to do that.
We were lucky in June because it was busy because it just opened.
Okay.
So when we got on, there was like about 15-20 minutes we were there just sort of.
So the last time we rode, which was the day that we came home, we went through the queue and were sitting in the attraction within 18 minutes, including all pre-shows. So the map bit in the queue area, that big like 3D map, you can spend hours looking at that. There's no time. It's like you're gone past it. It's like, but that was Santa. I need to look at what's it on.
Yeah.
The uniforms are incredible. I want one.
I want one. And I said, if they got one of those jackets in the shop, I'm buying
They're
it.
really cool,
And they
aren't they?
Yeah.
The whole, the multiple pre-show bit, a bit like Rise, is really clever. We were, Terry Crews is awesome. When we were, actually the last time we rode it, there was a guy in front of him with his 2 daughters, and he would started talking to us. He turned around, he said to the girls, "Oh, girls, I'm so sorry we missed Terry Crews." And I was like, "No, you haven't missed Terry Crews. He's coming in a minute. You haven't missed him." He's like, "Oh, I've had it." I said, No, you haven't missed him. It's fine." And then we started talking about, the attraction, and he hadn't ridden it. The girls hadn't ridden it. They were like 6 and 8. And I was like, "Oh, I hope they're okay." They were going to sit together, and he was going to sit behind them. I was like, "Okay, I'm sure they'll be fine."
Yeah. If you lose one, we apologise.
And he was like, "What's the trick? What's the move on this?" That's right. When you go through there, go to the right. Just go to the right. The first time we did it, I think the pre-shows and Drax is just awesome all the way through.
Cake
we all love
toast.
Drax. We all love Drax. And the bit at the end where they do like the award, Drax.
Yeah.
It's not real then. No, it's not.
No.
It's so funny. It's just got such a great sense of humour, the whole attraction. It doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's very much in tune with Guardians in terms of the humour level. And there is a story, but it doesn't really matter at all.
I think
You're too busy on the ride and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, screaming at the top of your voice.
Oh yeah, and singing along.
Singing along.
Or trying
singing
to.
along. Yeah. Definitely singing along loudly, particularly at the end.
What songs did you get?
So we had, we rode it 4 times. We had Disco Inferno twice, we had September, and then we had Conga.
We've not had Conga yet.
None.
That was Millie. Millie went, "I think we're going to get Conga this time," and sure enough,
happened.
Yeah.
We had one way or another twice.
Yes.
And I
love
still
that ride.
think that's the best one.
Yeah, I think the Flock of Seagulls I ran would also be really good.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do with the Christmas tunes. Zach and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
And what,
because there's a bit of a mixture.
Era.
And there's going to be a mixture, apparently, of different...
So we're talking what? 70s and 80s?
82? Really?
So... I don't know what Christmas songs are. Slade. Wizard.
It could, but very much American, so they're very British Christmas tunes.
Oh, I hope they do it though. That would just be funny. I can't wait till they do it.
So I don't know many. I definitely don't know any American Christmas tunes. So
it'll be really interesting to see. I'm hoping when I go back in a few weeks, it'll be. Yeah. I'll be able to ride it and see.
Because Guardians, they've got the Guardians Galaxy Holiday Special on Disney Plus for Christmas.
Yeah.
So
that's tie in the date.
I don't know. I think that's going to be for this year. So
there's so much coming to Disney Plus for Christmas. I can't wait for all of the Santa Clauses
stuff.
That's a nice segue to when we.
I was going to say
for our December show, we're going to be talking all about Disney Plus, all the Christmas stuff on Disney Plus.
So much. I'm going to be binging it all as soon as it comes out. Like 2 weeks time. Well, when this comes out, it'll just be a couple of days.
Yeah.
19th of November, I think a lot of it comes out, doesn't it? So
yeah.
Certainly Disenchanted's 19th. The second series of Unfortunate Events. No.
There's so much stuff that's on Disney Plus, and that'd be enough to download for our trip over Christmas.
Oh, have you booked a trip over Christmas?
Maybe.
Yeah,
we decided.
Do I wait and download it all for the plane?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I might download some Christmas bits for the plane.
They've already got all the Christmas movies on BA when I flew back.
Really?
They have a whole festive favourites section.
You can carry on with your Christmas tradition.
What, Home Alone?
You can watch Home Alone on the plane.
No, I can't do exactly my Christmas tradition because it's Home Alone with a Burger King. I can't do that on
Who are you flying with?
Aer Lingus.
Oh, is that on a BA plane? Oh, is that?
No, it's Aer Lingus. We're going to Manchester.
Manchester.
And then to Dublin and then across?
No, Manchester direct.
Straight from Manchester.
Okay.
Manchester to Orlando.
That'll be interesting.
It will. Yeah. We will let you know what it's like.
We can't wait.
Yeah. That's good to do an airline though.
Well, yeah, we thought it, and we own Avios with it as well because our partners with BA. So
And is it an Aer Lingus flight or is it BA flight?
Aer Lingus flight.
It's like,
Okay.
Because they've started doing direct flights, I think, beginning
Maybe
this
that's
year.
maybe that's a show we could talk about, is different flight experiences, because I've certainly done BA, Virgin, TUI.
We've done American
we've done
Airlines.
BA, Virgin American Airlines,
Delta.
Yeah, Delta.
Right.
and we'll be doing
done
Air
Aer
Lingus. So
Lingus.
yeah,
Aer Lingus.
So
yeah,
maybe
this would be
that's a show to talk about different
What
flights.
we need to do is,
New
Peter
Year.
and Jill, can you try EasyJet for us?
do EasyJet fly to
I don't know.
Orlando?
I'm sure John's done like Continental and all the cheap
John
airlines
do
that go by
Norwegian when
5
they
different
existed?
places.
Didn't Peter say he did Wizz Air?
Wizz Air, what, those horrible
Yeah,
yellow
but wasn't that was to Paris though?
yeah.
Doesn't count. No?
Transatlantic, I think it would be, and certainly, there's people that we know that have done the recent TUI flights to Melbourne. Maybe that's either a Wednesday or a conversation we can have. That'd be interesting to talk about different flight experience.
Tell us what you think. Whether you'd prefer it as a Wednesday or as a podcast.
Yeah, let us know.
Get in
Chat.
Let us know on the Waffler's Arms.
So, Claire, one of the things that we've spoken about your trip quite a bit was Phantasmic, which we knew was supposed to have been out. What was it last year? Disney announced it was going to be out in spring of 2023.
Yeah.
22.
And then somehow
that didn't
spring is
quite
now
happen.
November. No.
It has started. We were there in Hollywood Studios on the 3rd of November when it started. However, as we were in the queue for the meet and greets in the launch bay, we were talking to the cast member. We went to meet Chewie, and we were talking to the cast member who said that people had been in line for the 8 o'clock show since park opening that day. So obviously the 2nd of November was due to be the cast member and invited guests preview. It rained like hell that night. About
It got stopped halfway through.
8:30, the heavens opened. Morgan, Millie and I were at dinner. We were at the Cheesecake Factory, the new one near Vineland. And it was just like, so typical Florida rain. Someone had poured a bucket of water on the area, and it got stopped. So that meant that the following night, a few people, I expect, who had promised content the day before, went back for the 3rd. It was so busy. We went shopping, and then we went for food at the Boathouse. Lunch was excellent. And then we went over to Hollywood Studios. And between 4 and 7 o'clock, suddenly queue times just increased. As soon as we hit 7 o'clock, everything dropped off, because we did Rise at that point, and it dropped off to 25 minutes as everyone disappeared down something.
I'm going down some to join the queue for Phantasmic.
But they weren't joining the queue for the 8 o'clock show, as we discussed.
That was the show for the later show, was it 9 o'clock?
8 o'clock queue, they'd been queuing since the morning. When we decided not to queue, when we saw what the queue was like, as we walked out at 8:10, we were walking down Hollywood Boulevard just after 8 o'clock, and obviously there was a slight delay in it starting because everyone was like, "Oh, it's fantastic!" As we were walking out of the park, we heard dun, 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 and we were doing like the Mickey had,
and you just hear people screaming,
and there was this almighty roar of amazingness, and it was just so loud. I actually took a little audio clip and sent it to John. I was like, "Listen to this!" It was like the crowd screaming.
I saw a video clip from someone who was at the Skyliner station at Hollywood Studios.
Well, that's what we said, that the Skyliner would be the place to be at that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the queue, as we walked out of the park just after 8:10, 8:15, the queue for the 9:30 show was already back to the theatre, to the Chinese theatre.
Wow. Okay, no.
Because we went, "Shall we queue?" And we went and looked, and we were like, no.
Let's go and see the queue first,
no.
and then it's
No, let's wait till next time. But Phantasmic will still be there next time.
This is it. It will still be there. The queues were insane. So we gave that a swerve.
I'm not surprised
do it.
the queues have been the way they have for Phantasmic. Maybe it caught them by surprise. Because
I doubt it.
I don't know. It's Because I thought there'd be more showings on. I know they've reacted.
They can
now,
only really do two
a night.
showings
Two a
a
night.
night anyway.
But that was only supposed to be there
pretty
for the
much-
first week, but now they've extended that through November.
It's pretty much the last show to come back after COVID, isn't it? Because they've had character dinings all back. You know, you've got most of the other
one or two.
Right. All the parades are back. You've got, you know, most of the attractions are back working, even in like Festival Lion King. I'm still a bit disappointed in terms of the number of performers that are there. I'll tell you what though, I did tear up when the Tumble Monkeys were there. I was just like, this is the best moment with the Tumble Monkeys. I was screaming. I was like, come on.
I can't wait.
It was
I liked, what was it, the celebration of the Festival of the Lion King?
But it wasn't the
But
same.
it wasn't the
not
same.
the
Same.
And they're still not doing the whole warthog section and what does the giraffe sound like. They're still not doing that bit. But when the Tumble Monkeys come on and it's just like this, yes, they're back. Absolutely. And I was with the kids and I was sat there, we were just like screaming for Tumble Monkeys. And it's the same performers. You can, you know, if you've seen it enough time, you know who the Tumble Monkeys performers are. And you can spot them. And it's the same guys. And I was like, yes, those cast members are back doing what they love. And they were having such a good time. The response they were getting was exactly as it should be. There was lots of fun. There was lots of screaming and shouting. So that all of those things back. So for me, Fantasmic's pretty much one of the last things to return. Hence why there was this huge surge of guest activity around it. Yeah. I can't believe someone would stand in a queue for 12 hours to watch a half an hour show.
I don't think the queue for Galaxy's Edge in 2019 was that long.
Right.
It wasn't.
That's not
No.
That's not what I'm going to do. However, there was lots of people who did. So, you know, maybe, as you said, maybe it caught them by surprise. Maybe they didn't expect people to be quite so enthusiastic.
See, I wonder if Disney probably would have done some sort of genie or some sort of managed way of doing it if they knew it was going to be more crowded.
Maybe.
If they knew it was going to be like it was. But it'll be one of those things. We'll see how it is over the next few weeks because you're out in a few weeks, Claire, and get to try it all again.
Back. I'll tell you what was interesting. The crowds are really up and down. So I was expecting... I wasn't sure... I say I was expecting it not to be too bad. I wasn't really sure how it was going to pan out. And like the first couple of days, it was fine. Epcot, the first day we went, which was the Monday, it was Halloween, the 31st.
Okay.
That was okay. I think a lot of people must have gone to Magic Kingdom that day. It wasn't too bad. We went back to Epcot 2 days later, and it was fine. It wasn't particularly busy. We went back on Saturday before we came home. So we got to the park about 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And oh my goodness. I have never, ever experienced Epcot so crowded. It was to the point where we had planned, so our grand plan was, because we were flying home BA from MCO Terminal C, there's not a lot open yet. So I know what we'll do. We'll go to Epcot and we'll eat round the world in the booths for food and wine, and then we won't worry about eating, you know, later on. And if the food on the airplane is rubbish, it doesn't matter. Grand plan. We get to Epcot, and I swear to you, we waited 10 minutes to get 2 filet mignon from Canada. We didn't stop at a food booth after that because it was so ridiculous.
Wow.
The queue for the China food booth went back to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Didn't even get the bubble tea.
And it's not like it's a new festival.
No.
It's not like it's like opening weekend of food and wine. It's been on for 3 months.
So, right, bearing in mind, it was the wine and dine weekend. So there'd been races early in the day and the day before. And
that might be why.
There was probably a bubble of activity where the races had finished and people were coming back in before they went and fell asleep. There was lots of people with medals and various stuff. So, and obviously people bring their supporters with them when they're doing wine and dine. So, you know, it's probably the perfect storm in terms of guests. The attractions weren't busy. So we did, Millie wanted to do Figment. So we did Figment and there was a 10-minute wait, not even that, 5 minutes probably by the time we walked in and then got put into, we hadn't done it. So we did that. And then we walked over to Guardians. Our virtual group got called literally as we were walking up to it, which was perfect timing. And we walked in and it was pretty much a walk on to the beginning of the the first pre-show. The attractions were quiet, and then you walk into World Showcase and it's like, I can't move. And I was like, Millie, you're going to have to hold my hand because there's so many people.
Many people.
It was insane. So Norway was queued back to the bridge between like the entrance, the sort of the beginning of World Showcase and Mexico. China was queued back to Mexico where the Mariachi Cobra go. And that continued all the way through. We did manage to get pre-ordered some mobile ordered some stuff from the booth in Germany because Morgan wanted a pretzel, so we got a couple of beers and a couple of pretzels from there, which was fine because we could mobile order that. But even just thinking, well, we'll go and get some, get Morgan a chicken bun from Japan. The queues are probably 4 or 5 lines deep at every single booth.
So don't go to Epcot on the weekend.
Don't go on a Saturday. Don't go on a marathon weekend. It was ridiculous. I have never, ever in any time seen it like that, and it wasn't pleasant. I didn't see anyone drunk, but we left about 2:30 to get to the airport. So it's still early. There's still plenty of time for that to happen.
So you mentioned Terminal C. How was experience?
Terminal C?
Was it just nothing open yet?
Do you know? It wasn't as bad as people have said. From my point of view, it didn't feel as bad. So when you get into MCO, obviously you have to drop. We had to hire a car. We dropped it off at Terminal B, came into the main airport at Terminal B, and then you go down a pathway and get on a shuttle like you would to the gates at any other terminal to Terminal C. Obviously, it's a bit further. Takes 5 minutes or so. Excuse me. Someone has planned this really badly because you get off the shuttle and you have to go along outside through the car park, up a flight of stairs or an escalator or a lift, across a walkway bridge, and then down a lift or an escalator to the check-in desks. So you sort of go up and it's weird
Down,
and it's
up,
ridiculous.
down.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like, rather than just putting a bridge at the right level, you could go up.
They've just gone, we'll cope with this. They'll have to go up and down.
Check-in was 2-minute process. We just walked in and checked in. We were, bearing in mind I'm a BA Silver member, so we can check in at the Executive Club, nice check-in. So we didn't have to wait at all. There was probably about 10 people in the line to wait to check in. So there was 6 or 7 gates open, 6 or 7 check-in points open, so it wasn't understaffed. I felt really sorry for the girl who checked us in though, because when they put the bags on the scales and they take them off and they have to lift them onto a belt to go to the aircraft. Right, our bags, we had...
Did they all write heavy on them?
We had 7 bags. One of them had heavy on. And I said, who helps you with those bags? Like, this girl was like a size 0 stood there behind me. And she went, no, we have to do it. I was like, that's insane. This is like it was only like 28 kilos, but I could barely lift it. Because we were like we forgot to take the weighing scales and we were like, how heavy are these? Like, I know I can't lift a 32 kilo suitcase. So if I can't lift it, then it's too heavy. But it was fine. And I think we had the heaviest one was like 28 kilos. And this girl, she was like, no, I have to lift that. I was like, what? That's madness. There was nobody available to help. Whereas at least when you check in the UK, they sort of they're onto the belt. You lift them on and they wait and it goes on the belt. Anyway,
and they go
straight away. They had to lift them up onto this. Anyway, that's their issue. I felt bad for it. That's what I'm just saying.
Noticed that when we were there last time, checking into Virgin, they had the same thing.
There was just there was a lot less staff that would normally be where previous years you've seen them be able to help and move. Yeah. Normally you have someone just dealing with it and it's like, I'll take the bag, it's been weighed and done, it's labelled up, ready to go.
Yeah, and this girl was like trying to move it and she was like hoiking it across. She couldn't really lift it.
No.
From there we went through security. It took 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
Shoes off. My bag got pulled because I had an apple in it, and then I had an apple and a bag of Goofy sour balls candy, which are small round balls in a pouch. Which they didn't on X-ray. they didn't understand.
No, I can.
The guy looked at my bag.
Apple.
The guy looked at it and he went, "It's the apple and the candy." I was like, "I can understand that. It's fine." That was a little bit slow in terms of getting my bag checked. I had to wait about 15 minutes while there was one guy processing the bags. But it was fine. We weren't in any rush. We got there in plenty of time. When we went through into the area post security, there's the duty free is open. There's a Shake Shack. There is 4 or 5 coffee areas. There's things that are, and there's a PGA grill which hasn't quite opened yet. Looks like there's Disney store. There's a Universal store.
That's
there's a
more
bar.
than you get
Yeah, I would
in
say
A and
That
B.
sounds more than.
I think it's a bit of a win, to be honest with you, because it is really,
More like
really clean.
post-security UK
Yeah.
side than it is
I know there's
really
been a lot of
clean.
issues from coming
in.
in where
I'll tell you in
it's
3 weeks' time.
yeah, that is true.
Because I'm
Because
coming
I,
in to see
the issues have been is it's you pick up your bags before you go through.
security. Yeah, so I'll be able to tell you about that when I do it.
Yeah,
But I would
you
say
can give us a heads up.
I think Terminal C it's beautiful. It's immaculately clean. It's well designed. So coming through post security, it's like going into this brand spanking new place. There's loads of space. Even sitting in the area before you go down the ramp to the plane was really spacious. Like the seats are slightly further apart. There's wireless chargers on the seats, so you can just put your phone down and charge as you're sitting there waiting.
Nice.
Because I really hate that.
Plugs on every other seat, so you can sit down near the gate. If you haven't got wireless charging, you can plug in, you can charge your laptop, you can charge your phone, whatever you want to do. So from a tech point of view, it's been really considered. We did go into the lounge. I get myself and a guest free into the lounge.
Oh, okay.
We paid for Dan and Millie to come in, and it wasn't cheap. And was it worth it? No. So I would say the premium lounge that is there in Terminal C, I think it's like $55 per person. It is not worth it.
No.
Just saying.
We've tried a lounge at MCA before.
We tried the Delta Lounge.
And
right.
it's just...
So if you get it free for some reason, if you get it free with your bank account or you're, like I'm a BA Silver member, so I do get me and a guest for free.
Or you phone
will
up the
use it
class and you get it included,
right.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
So I will use it in December because I can. Would I pay for it? Absolutely not.
No.
I will go and get a Shake Shack and then sit at the bar somewhere. So I think that Terminal C is beautiful. It's clean. It's quiet. The toilets are lovely. They're really nice. The showers, all of that stuff. It hasn't got the manky sticky carpet that you get in Terminal A and B. I know everyone loves the carpet. I'd rather have a clean term and clean, quiet, spacious, airy, big window ceiling. It doesn't feel oppressive.
Do they have that random guy that's just the statue? You know, the one that's sleeping?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
They should put one in. Yeah.
But I know, having flown out of Terminal B a few times, you go through security, you get on the shuttle, you come out the other end, and you've got an Outback Steakhouse, you got a Starbucks that shuts at like 5 o'clock, and a Burger King that's got a queue the length of the terminal.
Because that's the only other thing that's open.
And the
only
duty-free shop.
Which is rubbish. Like, seriously rubbish. If you want a Toblerone or some overpriced perfume, you're okay, but that's about it. So I think Terminal C the duty-free at Terminal C is definitely better than the one in Terminal B. We flew into Tampa, my favourite airport, and it's still my favourite airport. It's still fantastic, it's clean, it's beautiful. The people are so pleasant. We had a lovely chat with the immigration officer, who was lovely. But we did wait about half an hour for our bags, which is the first time that's ever happened at Tampa.
Okay. That's a
shame. We drove up to the house we were staying in, which was in Champions Gate. Took us about 70 minutes to drive from Tampa to Champions Gate.
That's not bad.
Total of about 2 hours from disembarkation of the plane to arriving at the house. It was fine. There was no queue for immigration at all at Tampa. We literally walked in and walked straight to somebody. So
Sounds a little bit like our trip to MCO earlier in the year, where it was literally we got off the plane and gone, where is everyone? And it was like there was no one in immigration. It was like we were just like, oh.
And actually, all due to London Gatwick, when we arrived at Gatwick on Sunday morning, it was 7:30, 7:45 in the morning. The immigration hall was empty. There was 10, 12 desks of people waiting there, immigration officers waiting there, and nobody in the hall. So lots of people were using the digital gates. We obviously have Millie, who's under 12, so we couldn't. Morgan went, we've got a plan now. Morgan goes to the digital gates and then goes and gets the bags. And we wait with Millie. But we were almost as quick as him. And London Gatwick were absolutely on fire when we went through
good.
The weekend.
That's unusual.
Actually, it was probably the slickest I've ever seen it, but I've never had it too bad. But we were, we were flying premium. We weren't turning left, so we weren't the first off the plane. We were, it was really efficient. So it was good.
Okay,
but Terminal C, I think, is
the 15th of November.
People have grumbled. But
well, today is the 15th of November, and I know, Claire, you were out there for Halloween. But we're all talking about Christmas. What did you see that was festive? Did you see many Christmas?
Oh, do you know what? It was so cool. So we went to Magic Kingdom on the 30th of October. Saw all Halloween decorations. And actually, I didn't take many photos of things because I was like, see this.
Yeah.
Then we went to Epcot on the 31st. And so we did have dinner at California Grill on the 30th. And had planned to watch the fireworks for Halloween, but there is no information about what time they're on. So we waited and we went out on the balcony and we were like, when are these fireworks on? Literally, the minute we walked into our 2-bedroom suite, it was like, we're like, bollocks. Missed them.
No.
But it was, so we went to Epcot on Halloween, which was cool because we were staying as a luxury resort. We got extended hours as well, which means we got to do Guardians for a second time. We had dinner with Jason Canapp from Here with Magic at the San Angel in Mexico that night. It was a really nice meal. The food was excellent, is what I mean. There was lots of ribbing going on about my lack of love of guacamole and avocado. But it was fine. And Jason went, well, you're going to do Guardians again. We were like, what? Well, you're staying in a deluxe resort. You can book it. Like, oh my goodness, think about it.
Yeah.
So we did, and as soon as we booked it, we got it for about, I reckon it was about 9:30, 10:15. We were able to board. And as it was, Dan didn't want to do it again, so we did a quick switch around with Magic Bands, and Jason came on with us. And told us the correct way to do the attraction, obviously, which is to move to the right and then to sit at the back. And, fair dues, actually sitting at the back is a really, really positive move, and we will always do that now. And then what we did, we went to bed the 31st, and then on the 1st of November, we had an 8 a.m. breakfast reservation at Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom. So Millie and I were completely prepared. We took our Christmas Mickey ears with us. So when we arrived in the park on the 1st of November, it was Christmas. All the Halloween stuff had gone. Not all the Christmas decorations were out. They haven't gone full. The tree wasn't up, but like the garlands around Main Street and around the Harb, and certainly around the train station and areas, they were all up. And so we went for breakfast and we had our Christmas ears on, and everyone was like, "Oh, Merry Christmas!" Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
And then as the week went on, the decorations increased, and then when we went in there on Friday, I think it was, the tree was up, which I have to say is not as big as the tree in Disneyland Paris. Just saying. Disneyland Paris has a bigger tree.
Not so big Disneyland Paris one, actually.
And actually, the one at Walt Disney World is like, they've got like guy ropes attached to it to hold it in place. Whereas the one at Disneyland Paris,
in case there's a hurricane.
Is that what it is?
Storms. I'm guessing.
I don't know. That's a guess.
We'll find out. But
because November is still hurricane season.
I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest with you. But the one at Disneyland Paris, I reckon, is 50% bigger.
Oh, really?
Definitely much bigger. having stood under it many times and sort of taken photos reflected in the baubles and all of that arty-farty stuff, the one at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World felt muted.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
the
just
decorations were interesting because they were like fruit and veg. They got like pineapples and apples and stuff on them. I was like, what are they? Why have we
they're
got
bringing
fruit on
veggie fruit.
Why have we got why have we got fruit on the Christmas decks? It was a bit strange. I don't know if that's just this year or if that's their normal Christmas decks. I'm not feeling it.
I've not noticed it. I've
never noticed fruit.
I'm
going
to have to look back some more.
Nutcrackers.
Shiny pineapples on there. It was weird.
We'll have a look.
Yeah, we'll have to.
And if we don't find anything,
if anyone does know why,
I'll take some photos when I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why have they got fruit on the Christmas decks? On the Christmas gardens? Anyway.
Yeah.
It was very nice to go into there on Christmas, and not everything had changed, so the Jungle Cruise hadn't become the Jingle Cruise yet. I look forward to riding that when I go back.
Because some stuff like for the first Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and things, some overlays, because you've got the Tomorrowland Speedway, Space Mountain, where they turn on the Christmas lights.
Right, so all of that, when I'm back in a couple of weeks, I can't wait to see. And then, obviously, they hadn't started any of the resort renovations for Christmas yet. So I know since I've come back, the gingerbread house is going up with the Grand Flow and, all of that stuff. So my plan when I go in December is to do a bit of resort hopping, particularly around the monorail loop and see, a bit of Melikalikimaka for the Polly and all of that.
Yep.
I can't wait. I've never been at Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Americans do Christmas, because I know Thanksgiving is a massive thing for them and Christmas maybe not so much. For us, obviously we don't have Thanksgiving, so it's all about Christmas.
It's all about Christmas.
Bonfire night is gone. It's all about Christmas.
Yeah, this is it. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to the Festival of the Holidays in Epcot. Yeah. We're hoping maybe to catch the Candlelight Processional the week that I'm there. Whoopi Goldberg is doing it.
Wow.
Hey.
So whether I hang around and try and get in on the Saturday, I don't know. Epcot on the 3rd. I'm not sure that Epcot on the 3rd of December is going to be the best plan, but that's what I'm
gutted not to be there for when Josh Gad is doing the narration.
Yes.
I would love to do it when Josh.
I know.
Oh, do you know what? I would love to see Josh Gad do it.
We have penciled it in.
We have. We're going to be out there when, is it Angela Bassett is doing the Candlelight Procession?
Yep.
So we're going to aim to go and see her.
Well, I would love to see it for the theatre of the thing.
Yeah.
Just the sheer number of cast members.
Don't know whether I want to queue.
Blah, 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 blah. That's my issue, is because I know that the queue's going to be insane, and I don't really like all those people. And all the funny American tunes to the carols. But yeah. We shall see.
I just walk past and just
I'll make a decision.
Tunes.
Yeah.
This is it. I'll make a decision on the day. I think probably that's the answer. But
we're going to be spending Christmas Day in Epcot, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah. We decided not to go
really cool.
Magic Kingdom because everyone's going to be at Magic Kingdom, but we thought actually,
and with the Festival of
you need to do like
Holidays,
a toast in every country.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of got the thinking being, even if all of the queues for all the rides are really busy, there's enough going on with Festival of the Holidays that there'll still be enough to do to keep us from noticing the crowds.
And it'll be our first day, so the jet lag will mean that I'll be awake early to get the virtual queue for Guardians, the holiday Guardians.
Well, that's it. Do you know what? That's the thing that I was like, right, I have got an alarm set on my phone at 6:58. Wake up, press the button, go back to sleep. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing Holiday Guardians. It's going to be fun. And I think there's things that I haven't done, like the Christmas tree stroll at Disney Springs.
Yes.
I want to do. And certainly like some rock. I want to go to Wilderness Lodge. Talking of wilderness things, we went to see the Hoot-de-Doo. Hooray!
Ooh, how was it? As good as you remember.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of reasons why, a couple of caveats. So we were sat in the second tier section. Now that goes from about 2/3 of the. I don't know if you've ever been inside Pioneer Hall. It's massive, and like the first 2/3 of the floor space, so the stalls, are tier seating 1. I couldn't get that, so we were tier seating 2, which is basically the back third, and then directly above, facing the stage upstairs, and then tier 3 is sort of the rest of the balcony upstairs, the sound sides. We were at the back of the stalls, the ground floor section, at high table, which was fine, so we could see, but we were a little bit removed from the action. Our dinner service was not good.
Oh,
that's all I'm going to say.
That's a shame.
Disappointing. We had to wait a long time for our food to appear, where the other tables that were around us were being served much quicker, which was very frustrating.
It's okay if all of you is a slow service for everyone, because you don't notice it as much.
Yeah. And one of the cast for the Hoop-de-Doo was obviously unwell that day, so there was 5 people, not 6, which meant, although the show didn't suffer from it, they did brilliantly. You could tell that there should have been somebody there because they were still gapping in the choreography, which they hadn't quite closed.
It was just big space.
Which normally you would expect them to sort of close. It was the 8. I have to say, I did feel a difference between the 6:30 showing and the 8:30 show, though. The 8:30 crowd are much rowdier. Definitely.
Less kids, maybe.
Maybe so. It was fun. I think 8:30 is where I'd go again. But the service wasn't quite what I wanted. But we did have Randy playing the piano, which is the guy who was the first ever piano player at Casey's Corner. He's incredible. He plays at the Hoop-de-Doo most nights. He's the most unbelievable pianist. Like my brain just can't fathom how his fingers move so quickly. And the cast that were on were brilliant. And, Dolly Drew is still my number 1 cast member job that I would want to do if I was in a cast member role in performance. Really thought Claire de Lune was hysterical. So I love the Hoop-de-Doo so much that I dealt with it. If it had been my first trip to the Hoop-de-Doo, I don't think I'd be going back. Because it's not cheap. You'll pay $75 per person to have fairly ropey service because tip is included in the cost of the dinner. So you'd say there's no incentive. However, we seem to be getting service that was below the neighbouring tables, which is the same service. So it was one of those things. You sort of suck it up and you go, okay, I'm going to be very British about this and not say anything.
Yeah.
I probably should say something.
Probably should say something, yeah.
But, the performers on stage are still incredible. It's been re-scripted slightly since it came back. It's not 100% the same show. There are elements that are exactly the same. There are some bits that they have taken out because they're probably no longer appropriate. I miss them slightly. I quite like the fact it wasn't appropriate.
I think that's the thing. Maybe it's just everything's becoming a little bit too clean. And it's just nice to
just leave it as it was. It was like the perfect cheesy jokes. And I don't know that would it really have offended anyone? I don't think so. Maybe it did. Maybe I'm just a bit more tolerant. I don't know. I slightly miss some of that. Would I go back? Yes, I'd go back, but I'd make sure I get tier 1 seating.
Okay.
It's worth the extra $10 per person without any question. But the performers are great.
Yeah. Claire, with you being back with your family there, what did they think of Harmonious and Enchantment? Because I know that Harmonious is your favourite show.
We didn't do either of them. We didn't see either.
No.
So we had planned to watch... Really? So we had planned to watch Harmonious after we'd had dinner with Jason. But dinner went a bit long, so we missed the beginning of it. And then was like, we can do Guardians again. Let's go and do that. And then we went back into Epcot, but didn't stay late because... I can't remember who was tired. Somebody was tired, so we didn't stay late. Yep. And then on the Friday night of our second week, we'd planned to do Enchantment, and honestly, Main Street was so busy.
Yeah.
I just couldn't deal with it. It was.
Yeah.
I get a little bit anxious around big crowds, and for me, it was just too peoply. And nobody
You're sort of
else.
coming in from what you're coming like from Tomorrowland, sort of into the
Yeah.
hub, and then
Yeah, and actually nobody else was that bothered, and I feel sad because they're going to miss it. And I love Enchantment so much, and I really wanted them to see it, but it was so Enchantment was at 8:15. By 7:00, Main Street was rammed.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So for me, it was just like, you guys can stay. I might go and wait for you at the Poly or whatever, but
Yeah,
the decision was not to hang around. Sadly, but what we had done is gone and had lunch at Geyser Point,
Ooh,
and then got the boat over to Magic Kingdom. So we had a nice ride back in golden hour.
that's nice.
Back to Wilderness Lodge, which was lovely.
Love
have to
Geyser
say-
Point.
The person, the meter greeter at Geyser Point that day was clearly having a bad day. She was not just abrupt, I would say.
Ooh.
She was rude. So we were going to join the wait list, and I got there, and it was like, the place is empty. There was probably only 3 tables taken.
Okay.
And I said, can I have a table for 4 people, please? Yes, you can. And there was like a lounger table just as you come in on the left-hand side. Can I have that one? No, that's for a bigger party. Okay. So then she took us to the back of the restaurant by the servery area, and there was a table for 6
okay.
people. There was 4 of us on like hard chairs. And I was like, oh, can we have a lounger table? Yes, you can. So you can have this one. It's opposite the toilets. No, I don't want the one opposite the toilet doors. Thank you very much. Can we have a table with lounges that's not opposite the toilet? Maybe I was being high maintenance, but I was like, this place is empty. Why can't we just have?
Why can't we just choose one and you just bring some to us? Yeah.
And she literally rolled her eyes and huffed at me. I went, you just have to wait a few minutes while we clear. And they actually went and cleared a table that had been just vacated for 4 people with lounges. And I was just like, wow, Joanna, you're having a bad day. I'm just going to assume that you've not had the best morning so far. Our server was great.
Yeah.
The food was okay. Morgan didn't. He had a steak sandwich, was on the specials. It was a bit dry. But, it was, I think Geyser Point's great. I had a margarita flight that was interesting.
The location is brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that makes up for it, but
It was beautiful. And so then we got the boat over to Magic Kingdom. I told Millie all about the boat bridge, the water bridge. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, yes, it is. But coming back, it was nice. So we were able to go sort of golden hour past the Contemporary and stuff. And that was beautiful. I got lots of nice photos. So I think Geyser Point's still worth a visit.
yeah. I think the food is really good. I just want them to bring back the waffle fries.
Yes, they've got them over at
Why they missed that? I think.
Steakhouse.
The waffle fries are at Steakhouse 71, also at Steakhouse 71 Lounge. Why can't they get them across on the boat
Just stick
to
on the boat.
Geyser? It's
I tell you
like
what, we had breakfast at Steakhouse 71. That was outstanding.
It's really good, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I would say that's probably the best breakfast that we had. We also had breakfast at Ale and Compass. It was good. But Steakhouse 71, oh my goodness, those breakfast potatoes. I need you in my life every single day.
I would tell you where
Give
those.
me more.
You can also get those breakfast potatoes at somewhere at Coronado. Rick's Sports Bar and Grill. They're the exact
No
same
way.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I've had both of them, and yeah, they're the same.
They're so good. I had an omelette. I had a vegetarian omelette. It was so big. I couldn't eat it all, but maybe that's because I'd eaten all the breakfast potatoes. But the food, I think at Steakhouse 71 for breakfast, it's not particularly expensive. Service was outstanding, and the environment was beautiful. It was such a nice breakfast.
We used to love it
Yeah.
as the Wave when we'd
Yeah.
always go for breakfast because obviously the buffet, which was like, I don't know, 20, it was about $18 or $20 for, and the price now, they don't do the buffet, but they do the Steakhouse 71 feast. So you've got things like everything you would normally have had on the buffet menu just on one plate. But It's amazing. It really
You like
is.
the
I think
grits
it's-
on that.
I even like the grits.
yeah.
That's how nice it's.
Yeah. But I
Bacon
think
and cheese.
that would be my top tip, to go there for breakfast, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're staying
Have a nice walk over to
Magic
Magic Kingdom.
Nice and easy.
Definitely.
And it's not too difficult to get a reservation. It's not the easiest one, but it's...
It's not hard. It's not as easy as Ale and Compass, but it isn't difficult. And I think that the environment is beautiful. Some of those pictures around the restaurant when you walk in, and the whole environment is very chilled. It's very chilled.
It is. Very
But
relaxed.
it feels really calm and high end and sophisticated, without being stuffy or, you feeling uncomfortable in park attire. I think it's a really, really great restaurant. I look forward to going back there for lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
The lunch is nice. The burger's nice.
And it's also on the lounge menu.
Yeah.
Okay, I might.
There's a lot of stuff on there that's on the lounge.
because obviously I don't eat meat, so things like the burger aren't really
Yeah.
Yeah.
my
There's
bag.
a lot of stuff
but
that's on the lounge menu.
yeah, might go back and try that. I think I had a mixed bag in terms of plant-based or vegetarian options while I was there. I
Okay.
think Skipper Canteen still wins, hands down,
Yep.
for the tofu dish. It's incredible. But I was disappointed by California Grill massively in terms of
I
their.
don't like the prefix menu that they've
Yeah.
gone to. It's
It
not...
was, it was expensive. The service was great, but it was really expensive.
You
And
only get a good value for money if you're going for the steak. If you're going for the
yeah,
high end,
the food
that's
was
on there.
not worth the money, without a doubt. Without a doubt, I wouldn't go
And
back.
they've classed it as a 50th menu, so hopefully come March 31st.
They'll try.
Currently, I wouldn't be returning.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my view.
Yeah.
I'm sure some
Sounds like-
people love it.
Yeah. Sounds like you had an amazing trip.
Yeah.
It must feel
You know
weird
what,
you're only
it-
going back in a few weeks.
Yeah, 10 days went so quickly, but then when I think about how much I did and the people I saw and the time I spent with people, the days were long, but the time went quickly. But yeah, I'm back in 3 weeks, so it's going to be a whirlwind when I go back. But hopefully, I can do some of the other stuff that I didn't manage to do this time.
It doesn't matter how long you spend out there, whether it's sort of 10 days or
3 weeks.
several weeks.
Right, a
You
month.
can never fit
something.
everything in.
This is it. I didn't
There's
even
always-
set foot in the Land or the Seas Pavilion. Just saying,
Did you not?
didn't set foot in them.
Wow.
There you are. That's how busy
Well-
we were.
Yeah.
I had
So
no
that's-
reason to
that's
go
a
on
problem.
soaring, so
No, but I would normally do the Land.
living with the land.
Living with the Land without a doubt.
Well, living with
Yeah.
the land in December, I'll have the Christmas overlay.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the reason why I didn't do it.
Yeah. And also, you didn't need to jump out the boat to get any cucumbers. So.
No, I didn't. No, absolutely. But I look forward to being back.
Thank you for listening to the Great British Mickey Waffle. We would really love to hear from you, and you can find us at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at waffleon@gbmickeywaffle.com. There are many ways that you can support us, and the easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on your podcast app. And why don't you share the show with your friends too? Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe for even more waffle. Now, back to the show.
So we've recently partnered up with Attraction Tickets. It's a place that we've used for a place to buy our tickets, especially over the past few years, because obviously with COVID, a lot of changes. Claire, you've had some great experience with Attraction Tickets. And is that where you bought them for your last trip?
It is actually, yeah. It's where I bought them for the last several trips, actually, and also prospectively for our next trip next summer, because particularly through COVID, they were amazing. They offer an extra COVID, it's called Flexi Plus protection, so you can pay $10 or $15, £15, sorry, back in the UK, extra on top of your park ticket, which makes them 100% refundable, which doesn't happen if you buy them from Disney. During COVID, where we had multiple cancelled trips, it was so worth the money because I think we had 3 cancelled trips, so that would have been 3 lots of 2-week park tickets that we would have lost the money on had I not paid that. So Orlando, isn't cheap. When you're buying attraction tickets, you're buying multiple places. Next summer we're going to Universal and to Walt Disney World. Anything could happen between now and then, so I paid for that as well. So they do.
We never knew what 2020 was going to throw at us. So it's one of those things. I always think now of that extra insurance, just like, do you know what? For an extra £5 a person or 15 or whatever it is, whatever I'm buying.
Not a lot of money.
It's like, do you know what, I'm going to pay for it.
Worth it.
When you've got to like travel insurance and they say, you can get COVID cover, make sure things like that and other stuff that I think not that you wouldn't have thought about before, but we've all either lost a little bit of money or whether it's because trips have been cancelled or become more expensive, and it's just something to know that if something was to happen, that that your tickets are sorted and they can just move it onto your next trip, or something does happen. Life can get in the way, or we'll get
you don't know what's going to happen between now and then. So I know that we don't recommend anyone that we don't already utilise. And that's one of the reasons that we partner with attraction tickets, is because we've all used them. There are other ticket providers, but I find that they are my go-to every time. So much so that actually I think probably without question for the last 5 or 6 trips we've used them for our park tickets.
And the handy thing is you can do a deposit, so you can pay like £20 a person, so you can budget.
The price.
Yep, so you can lock in the price. Say there's a Black Friday offer, and lock in the price, and then your trips next year. So I think as long as you pay, I think it's 6 or 8 weeks before, and then you get your tickets.
And you also save yourself, from those fluctuations in exchange rate, which is happening quite a lot at the moment. So I think that they offer a really, really good service. I've never had any issues with them, whether that be support via the live chat on the phone or by email. Very responsive.
And if you go to our website, so gbmickeywaffle.com/support, we've got all our links to all of our support on there. So you'll find our attraction tickets link on there, amongst our links to our Facebook community, the Wafflers Arms, and our YouTube channel as well.
And our Redbubble and TeePublic
talking about our t-shirts.
Our merchandise.
Yes.
Indeed. Which I wore around Walmart for my sins.
Did anyone
I came out alive.
You survived it.
I did survive Walmart. It was an experience. That was a nice one.
If you head over to our YouTube channel and look for it was called Walmart Wednesday, and it was out on the
2nd of November.
Yep.
2nd of November.
Yep. Only a couple of weeks ago. So we do our weekly show every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. in the UK, which is 3:30 Eastern, apart from 2 weeks of the year, which confuses everyone.
Including us.
Because the clocks change. But yeah, we're live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday. So we cover topics from supermarkets, as Claire just did recently for us, to so much else, from car hire and obviously going live from the parks, because now Peter and Jill are going to be going live very short. They would have gone live last week.
Already gone live.
Yeah, they've been live last week from Port Orleans.
You never know. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get.
Or who you're going to get.
Yeah.
Sounds like Ghostbusters. I feel like who you're going to get.
You're going to come.
Yeah. But we've got some plans to talk about some fun stuff. So
yeah, we've got some good topics coming up, and so yeah, thank you for listening tonight or watching, because you can watch us on the YouTube channel. You find all our links on our website, as I said before, gbmickeywaffle.com. If you're not following us on any of our socials, we are at gbmickeywaffle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I think there's just one thing left to say. Waffle on.
Waffle on.
Waffle on.